Hey, what's up? This is Steve Cardenas, aka Rocky the Red Power Ranger,
And Jeff Barrazzo, Trent Fernandez Mercer from Battle Thunder.
and you are watching Team Venom Media.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to a very special edition of Team Venom's Power Rangers podcast. Over the last few months, we've had some great guests, but this week we've got the head guy from Power Rangers. We've got the Zordon himself, David Fielding. David, how's it going?
I'm good. I'm just another lazy Sunday here in Texas. So.
Well, thank you for joining us. I'll also shout out to Paul and Julip, who are here with us too. Hi, guys.
Hey,
What's going on?
So, firstly, David, we're at the year where it's the 30th anniversary of Mighty Morphin.
30 years. Yeah.
How does it seem like it's been 30 years to you?
In some ways, it does. In other ways, my brain tries to tell me constantly that I'm still 25 years old. But there are days and mornings where I'm like, yeah, you're not. It does seem like the time between when I was on the show and now has seemed to sort of like zip by or whatever. But I guess that's just the way our brains work. So.
Well, sorry, Paul.
Okay, so I'm actually going to call you out on something, Rory. You mentioned when you introduced him, talking about the head guy from Power Rangers. Were you talking literal, or are you talking figuratively?
Yeah, my head is not as big and blue as it used to be, but yeah.
So, question for you: with this SAG-AFTRA strike and the writer strike and all of that, what have you been up to?
Not a lot really. I mean, I'm still waiting for my third book to get published. There seems to be a bottleneck somewhere, and I'm really kind of miffed about it. But I don't think there's a whole lot I can do as far as the strike is concerned. I think what we're seeing is the curtain being pulled back on a lot of practices that happen in the industry that have been going on for a very, very long time. I mean, even when I went out to Hollywood, I was under the understanding that when you first start out, you expect to get stepped on. You expect to get treated poorly until you establish a certain level of experience, or you get enough people who are in your corner that will bump you up to the next level so that you continue to get work. But it is expected on some level, and forgive me for this kind of language, but you have to eat a lot of shit sandwiches in order to get anywhere. And I think that's true in a lot of industries. But what we're seeing here with the disparity in what most SAG-AFTRA and Writers Guild members make a year, which disqualifies them for healthcare. That's been an ongoing thing for decades, and my perspective on the whole thing is because of the pandemic, because of how things have been started to have been shared over social media, whether it was TikTok or Twitter or whatever. People are starting to sort of like lift their heads up and go, what the heck is going on as far as how folks are treated. And I don't know if you guys saw David Yost's post about when the strike started back in late spring, early summer. David pointed out sort of my situation and how I was, how things worked for me on the Power Rangers. And it as far as I'm concerned, it went a little viral. There was like 5,000 likes or whatever. And I actually did a couple of interviews with news stations about what my contract was all about, what compensation I got because of that. And again, it's just one of those things where when I was out there at the time, it sucked, yeah, but I also sort of like understood that that was the norm, that unknown actors and actresses or unknown writers or directors or whatever, again, you have to eat a lot of shit sandwiches and if you want to move ahead. And I understood that. And I reached a point where I was like, you know what, I don't think I want to eat those kind of sandwiches anymore. And that's why I left. So.
I don't blame you one bit there.
I mean, that's just my experience. I mean, it doesn't mean that I didn't enjoy my time on the show. I did. I enjoy what the show is. I enjoy what the show stands for. I think that it's very important for people to enjoy the Power Rangers. It has a lot of positive things to say. I'm very proud to be a part of it, but I'm also not going to shy away from the truth of what the situation was.
Julip?
I guess to continue on that topic, so I know Saban had the rights to Power Rangers and Disney had purchased it. Now Hasbro has it. Has it been the same process, the same issues throughout, regardless who owned it?
Well, I mean, if you take a look at how the show has been produced since Saban had it, I'm not sure how it was done during the Disney years, but since Saban bought it back from Disney, everything was being filmed in New Zealand. And the reason they film it in New Zealand is because it's a non-union area. They don't have to pay union rates. They don't have to pay for all of the things that the unions and stuff ask for. That's why the show is shot over there. So again, the same sort of, from a production standpoint, the money saving aspect of it is paramount. That's the number one thing. It's like, shoot these episodes as quickly as you can in an area where you don't have to pay as much, and then blast it out on media and advertise all your toys and make all your money. That's what it is. My perspective. So.
Just to add on to it, does any of the actors or anybody who has worked on the show, do they get anything anytime any of the shows get aired?
From the original cast, all of those episodes were non-union, so there were no residuals. There were no, there was nothing. I mean, which is one of the reasons why when the Once and Always episode was filmed, David fought for and got it made under union rules, so that the people that were paid there for that episode and everything, they got union compensation, they got union rates, so they'll get residuals and stuff from that. But for the most part, I don't think the rest of the seasons and stuff are union. They're all non-union. You talk to any of the other Rangers, Chris Kamen Lee from In Space, or you talk to Nakia Burrese or Catherine Sutherland, they'll tell you that the show was non-union. I think the first movie might have been union, but it was very low union rate. And then I think the Turbo movie, I'm not sure. I mean, I wasn't a part of that, even though they used my face in Turbo. But and again, you'll see it over and over that even some of these, like what you would consider to be like A-list actors, they'll post their residual checks online, and those residual checks are for like $1.12 or and what the practice of what they're doing now is they're filming these shows, and then they just take them off the streaming platform, so they don't have to pay the residuals. It's not being shown anywhere. So it's the kind of atmosphere that we live in, as far as you try to put out some sort of creative property that people can absorb and enjoy, but the only people that get paid are the people on the top.
Damn.
I'll
I don't mean to bring the whole episode down. I'm not trying to make it a downer episode. I'm just talking about this sort of reality that we live in. I mean, when you look at the world in 2023, there seems to be a lot of tension going around. There's a lot of people are dissatisfied and some of them don't even know why they're dissatisfied. And again, the ability to share this information quickly, because when I was a kid, when I was of the age when the show was made for 5 and 6 year olds. So when I was 5 and 6, the world was a completely different place. The information that got out, it just trickled out very slowly. There was no 24-hour news cycle. There was no internet. There was no social media. So I didn't get blasted in the face 24/7 with news bites day in and day out, bam, bam, bam. And we're being bombarded with all this information. And a lot of us are sort of like going, why is the world like this? Why are we all treating each other this way and scrabbling to be the guy at the top of the pyramid? It's a very strange world, but it's probably why I play a lot of video games, so I don't think about it too much.
So social media definitely contributes towards all that, especially how people are always doing trying to get likes for the dumbest things or the most craziest things. So I don't know, it just paints a imaginary picture of somebody being happy for about 30 seconds, and then people look at that stuff.
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing. Everybody is searching for that dopamine hit of, I'm happy about this, I'm excited about this, and then social media or news or whatever will drop like an information bomb that will divide everybody, and all of a sudden they're arguing about the one thing that made them happy, and now it doesn't make them happy anymore. And we are a very bizarre species in how we create all of this wonderful stuff. I mean, I look at your guys' background and you have all this amazing pop culture stuff, which represents moments of happiness for you. And yet, how many times have you gotten into like a small argument with somebody about, well, this means that, or this means this? And, there's part of us that just loves to butt heads about that. And as long as you don't get super angry or emotionally hurt over it, that's fine, because that does generate forward motion, I guess. Things might get better because of that. If you do point out problems with the show, maybe those problems will be corrected and like, oh, now it's better now. But when it goes into that toxic area of it's just fighting to fight, then that's no good.
Now, there's a lot of us out there that basically don't give two shits less what somebody on a keyboard thinks. So,
yeah.
I mean,
yeah.
Unfortunately, doing things like these podcasts and the pop culture websites, there's always going to be someone in the comments that's going to be targeting us for one reason or another. So
yeah.
And
I'm
switched off from most of that.
Yeah, like Simon Bennett is very active on Twitter as far as like engaging with the Power Rangers community, and there have been, I don't participate in it, but I see it scroll by of people who are disrespectful or arguing because they think they know, even though they're not involved with the show. They're just sitting back behind, absorbing all of this information, and then deciding that this is right. It's not what happened, but this is what's right, and so I don't know. It's very strange.
Well, one of the things that you mentioned during that was the Once and Always special. Just bringing it back onto the Power Rangers subject.
Yes. Yeah.
Were you approached for that at all?
I was not. I don't think that anybody on the Hasbro team or anybody over in New Zealand actually knows who I am. I don't know, or if they do know, that nobody has ever reached out to me at any point over the last 30 years about being part of a revival or being included in an episode. And for a long time, I always thought that the reason they didn't do that is because at the end of In Space, Zordon was exited from the show. And so they didn't have any plans to sort of bring him back. I think the success of the Boom comics and what Kyle Higgins and Ryan Parrott and Melissa Flores have done as far as highlighting and pointing towards what the character's importance was to the franchise might have had some influence on the script for Once and Always, because I was very surprised when I watched it to find out that Billy was trying to bring Zordon back. I was like, oh wow, that's like the first time that I've ever sort of like seen them acknowledge that it was a possibility. And that there's always that sort of thing in the back of your mind that says, hey, well, what are you going to do if they do ask you to come back? What if they do another special where Billy succeeds in contacting whatever state Zordon is in these days? And then of course, my cynical brain is always like, well, they'll just get somebody else to do the voice. They've done that before. So don't count on it, so. Yeah, no, but to answer your question, no, I was not approached. I was not asked to participate.
Thanks.
Now, I know the last time we had you on, you mentioned you didn't have too much interaction with the cast. But, in the meantime, since our last chat on here, we did lose JDF. Do you have any kind of stories you'd like to share with us as far as interactions with him?
Well, I mean, I didn't meet JDF until like 20 years after the show went off the air. I mean, Jason was cast as Tommy after I had already been filmed. I was never on set with them. I was never in the ADR recording booth with JDF. And it's funny because Tommy and Zordon had such a good relationship, and they talked to one another back and forth, but we were never in the same room together. And so I didn't meet JDF until a convention, and we had great interaction. He was super awesome and very personable, and I saw him a couple of times after that, but we didn't really have what I would call like a relationship. We didn't talk. We didn't. Whenever I was at a convention with other Rangers and they would be in a group chat with JDF, I was like, oh, that would be nice. But I mean, we didn't have that sort of interaction. We were not close. So I don't have any sort of like really cool JDF stories, unfortunately. That's too bad. But Austin St. John and I were in Tulsa, Oklahoma in November, and we were at a show and we were going to dinner that night. And in the car ride, Austin got a phone call from Walter, and he had a very sort of surprised reaction. And then midway through the dinner, he pulled me aside, took me aside, and told me what happened. And we were all kind of in shock about the whole thing. And it just goes to show that you don't know what anybody is going through. I mean, from all outward appearances to me, it seemed like JDF was just a machine. He was always there for the fans. He was always doing something. He was always representing Power Rangers and Tommy, and it just seemed like he would do that for the next 30 years, and then all of a sudden he was not there. It was very, very tough for a lot of people to sort of think about that or deal with that.
Julip?
Oh, sorry, I think Julip's yeah, he just Just accidentally muted himself. Sorry.
Yeah, my bad, guys. I got the game playing in the back, so I didn't want to be a distraction. But I mean, are you open? Are you, if they do come up with an offer, are you open to returning any future projects?
I guess that would depend on what the offer is. I don't know if I'm exactly comfortable with doing anything on camera these days, simply because I'm not necessarily, I mean, you know, we all have body image issues. And so when it comes to thinking about what I would look like on film, that's a factor. But yeah, I mean, the short answer is yes, of course, I would be up to doing that, because I think that would be great for the show. I think it'd be great for the fans. The fans would love to see that, to have another character from their nostalgia coming back and making reappearance. I would totally be up for it. It just all depends on what that is, you know.
So and like to me, I would like to say, like, if they were to bring it back, I definitely think like Zordon would be like lost somewhere in the grid. That's the way I would like try to bring to bring it back.
Yeah.
That's, I mean,
I think the best way to bring everybody back would be to do like an animated series. That way, you know, you could do some like really fantastic storytelling and really fantastic visuals with animation. I mean, when I think about like Across the Spider-Verse and stuff like that, what they're doing with animation and storytelling these days is fantastic. And that would be a way to get everybody, you know, to revoice their characters. It would be the original characters with the original voices. And I think that would be a great way to do it. But again, nobody knows who I am. Nobody listens to me. So, you know, I just try to, you know, put that in the ether and sort of manifest that as best as I can. But who knows what's going on with that. So,
well, we're just about out of time, unfortunately, but it's been absolutely awesome chatting to you. Thank you very much for joining us again.
Yeah, and I apologize for bringing everybody down.
No, don't worry about it.
But yeah,
but also,
It gets you thinking. That's all.
Yeah, but thank you as well for being such a huge contributing factor to, like, certainly my childhood.
Thank you. I mean, it's all because of folks like you that, you know, we are allowed to have conversations like this, that we can communicate and share stuff, and so it's all thanks to you guys. So yeah, thank you.